People Ops FGU for today. I think I actually have the wrong presentation that I'm sharing right now, so let me fix that right away. 1 second here. And I have lost it. I apologize for this, everybody. Okay, we've got it. Let's do this correctly this time. Okay, here we go. So the People Ops Functional Group update for August, and I am Barbie Brewer, and today you'll be hearing from both Kevin and I, and Kevin is our Director for Recruiting. So first of all, I want to thank you all for joining us today on our Functional Group update. Let me go into present mode here. We're going to be discussing our accomplishments, our plans, and our questions, and then we will open up to those questions in chat, as well as I think we are experimenting with YouTube as well. So for those of you who might be live streaming on YouTube, we will try to find a way to get to those questions as well, and I will ask for Trevor's help with that. So we've been very busy in the last couple of weeks in People Ops and recruiting. One reminder is that we did update the handbook to encourage you, and really this is very important. We need to know if you're going to keep your interviews or not, and if we can schedule those interviews with you. We're trying to get tools to automate, we're trying to get tools to scale this, but tools are not perfect if our calendars aren't correct. So please have your calendars as correct as possible and reach out to your recruiter directly if something's going to change, because we can't assume because you say you're out of office there might not be 1 or 2 meetings that you still deciding to keep, and it's difficult for us to read minds. So over communication is really important in this area. In addition, recruiters reach out directly if they feel the need to try to fit an interview into a week that you look very busy. They'll reach out to you directly to see if anything can move, and if not, if someone can replace you in that interview schedule. So another big thing we did was the move to Greenhouse. So we already have some jobs open in there, and I'll talk about a few of those later, but it's been a difficult but good transition. Chloe and team have done a great job in making this work for us, so thank you to them. And those in the US have also noticed the benefit updates. So I'll share some information here about where our progress is on that right now, and you can see more information about the plans here in this link. Culture Amp has been good so far. We did our benefit survey for that, and we really appreciated the feedback we got because it really did help inform many of the decisions we made around our benefit plans. So we thank those who provided that feedback to us, and we'll continue to expand our use of Culture Amp going forward. We also hired a technical recruiter and a recruiting sourcer, both in EMEA, and Kevin Purcell started as our recruiting director at the end of July, which is really great. He joined us just 2 weeks after Scott left. We missed Scott, but we're super happy to have Kevin. And the technical recruiter that we hired actually sits in Nigeria, so it will be wonderful to have someone in a different location than one of our current ones, although he'll be quite close to Nadia over there in South Africa. And our sourcer is in Hungary and has a lot of experience treasure hunting for great talent, and will also be a great addition to the team. And then, of course, how could we forget that we're all on our way to South Africa very soon. I leave Saturday, and I know I will see most of you, or if not many of you, there, and I really look forward to that. And I really am grateful to Kirsten and to Jennifer and all the others who've helped with planning this event and to make it great for all the team members of GitLab. I think it'll be really fun. So this is just an update of where we are in the US for the benefit enrollment. I won't spend a lot of time on this except to say that my little piece of personal advice on this, given that the deductibles need to be paid between October and December and then reset on January 1st, I personally decided to go with the EPO for the remainder of this year since there is no deductible, and I'll be switching to the HSA in January when I can start using that deductible and spending towards that deductible. So that's just a way to avoid paying the deductible twice, but that does mean that if you have a family, you will pay more in premium, so you can decide for yourself based off of your situation what is more affordable for you, whether or not it's avoiding those deductibles or avoiding those premiums. And just an idea that I wanted to throw out there to make sure everyone in the US was aware that your deductibles will need to be, will start from 0 again in January. And if you're confused about what I mean by that, the link on the previous slide will bring you to more information about what deductibles are and how those attribute to your medical plans. I also have open office hours today at 9. So if you have specific questions you want to ask, I will be there to answer them. So here are our July and June and July recruiting metrics. Is Kevin on as a panelist now?
I am, yes.
I will turn it over to you, Kevin.
Awesome, thank you. And real quick before I dive in here, I did want to just thank Chloe. Barbie had referenced the transition over to Greenhouse, and there's a massive amount of work that takes place to go from one ATS to another. So a huge thank you to Chloe. I know we're still working through some of the wrinkles there. And there's some growing pains, but appreciate everybody's patience, and a huge shout out to Chloe for her work on that. In terms of the metrics here, I'll let you guys kind of go through these at your convenience. One call out I would have, I think as we move to Greenhouse, the reporting seems to be quite a bit more robust. So this is what I think we've typically shown from a recruiting perspective. We'll evaluate what makes the most sense moving forward, so that these metrics are meaningful for this audience and adding value to this discussion. But as I mentioned, go ahead and take a look at the metrics. I would highlight kind of the diversity piece of this. That'll be an area we continue to focus on. We brought in Stephanie just recently, and she's definitely brought a diversity lens to our sourcing efforts, which, there's a lot more work to be done, but I think there's some good stuff on the horizon that way. So anyway, we can go ahead and move forward to the next slide here. And this is just a really high level overview of kind of our initial thoughts for the recruiting strategy. And there's a lot to unpack under each one of these, but really the first thing is let's establish a bold purpose and recruiting strategy that we can all march towards and create the best recruiting team we can that aligns with the values and strategy and vision of GitLab. The second piece is reimagining the candidate experience. We all know kind of how competitive the market is, and so we have to make sure that we have a great experience, whether the candidate gets the job or not. It's super critical that they have a good experience, and that starts with recruiting, but it goes all the way through the interview team. And then the last piece is just a strategic talent attraction and brand awareness. So GitLab has such a compelling story, exciting story to tell, making sure that that's out there in the market. We're getting candidates excited about it, and pivoting to a little bit more strategic approach with sourcing. I think on the metric slide, you saw that most of our candidates are active candidates that apply to a role, which is not a bad thing. I think a lot of us apply to a role. There's a lot of strong talent we can get that way, but also diversifying our sourcing approach to where we're going after really strong talent. Maybe they're happy in their current employment, but we can pull them over to GitLab, and it takes kind of a concerted pivot to a sourcing approach that way. So that's kind of a lot to unpack under each one of these, more to come on that. And a huge kudos to the team for what they've done. I'm brand new here, but just really impressed with what they've done in the months leading up to this point.
Okay, so our plans will continue with, thank you, Kevin, and we're thrilled you're here. We will continue with the TriNet migration. This has been also a very huge project that Brittany and others are very involved in. The scope goes across people ops, finance, legal, and affects each and every one of us in the US at least, but really it affects everyone at GitLab because it encourages us to start looking at our own systems, process, and tools for making sure we have a good experience for our team members when it comes to the people operations side of things. So that migration continues, and that issue will lead you to more details on that. Again, more work on Greenhouse. And the new thing that we're actually going to start putting together, and this is another thing Chloe's working on, is a way to evaluate the effectiveness of our interviews and how well we're doing at defining, selecting, and onboarding our talent and our team members. And so we're going to start looking at data to see where we can get better at that, to be more efficient in recruiting and to be more successful at onboarding all the great new team members that we're hiring. The pace is still growing, and we want to continue the efficiency and effectiveness of what we're doing there. We also need to fill out our own team. Our most urgent needs right now are for 2 new executive assistants, and we also need a new people operations specialist. Again, some of this gets back to us bringing payroll and benefits in-house, and some of it gets back to some bittersweet news and some wonderful opportunities. So Kirsten will begin focusing more on events. We all know she's been very busy and doing a great job for the summit. And that really, as we scale and as we grow, it's becoming more a full-time job. As we do some more diversity events and different events as well, Kirsten can help out there. And that really is where her passion is. So we really appreciate that she's been supporting Sid for these years, and really wish her well as working on events for us. But that means we need to find a replacement for her, because of course Sid needs help, and that help that she was giving him was critical. So we're looking for an executive assistant that will be very close to San Francisco and able to go to the San Francisco office. So this role is not quite as flexible of where it is, because there is some needs there. And then the other executive assistant role is open because Jennifer Garcia, who's also been a wonderful, valuable member of the team, has decided to move on and pursue new opportunities. So we're also replacing that role, and that role can be more flexible where it sits, but should probably still be within a couple hours of the California Pacific time zone, given the interaction that this person will have with the executive group and specifically the People Ops team, myself, Eric, Paul, Michael, and the new CMO, Chad, etc. So again, those roles are very important. I think that people don't quite appreciate that the role of an executive assistant is absolutely one of the most important roles at a company. And so it's important that we have great talent in those positions. And we wish Kirsten a wonderful time with events for GitLab, and we're happy that she'll be at GitLab. And we wish Jennifer the best of luck as she pursues opportunities outside. And then, of course, we have the 2018 summit that we still need to attend and have a great time at. And of course, we are already planning for the 2019 summit. And Kirsten and Emily have both been working very hard, already thinking about next year as finishing up for this year. So it's been really exciting. So questions?
We got a question in the Q&A here. John Woods asked, what would be the average number of interviews someone should go through, and how long should the hiring process take? Some of the folks I've recommended have been going through 5 or 6 rounds of interviews, taking months of time.
So this is why I talk about the need to make sure that if you are in an interview schedule, you actually prioritize having that role at the company. It's a really critical role to have at the company when you are entrusted to helping us find and evaluate the best talent. So if you're not making those calendars available, it does make the process longer. Ideally, I do think that it's quite reasonable to interview with 5, 6, 7, even 8 people, depending on the role you're interviewing for. But that shouldn't take 5, 6, 7, or 8 rounds. So ideally, we can get those candidates in to the majority of interviews on the same day. This is what most candidates are used to in a user experience. They're not driving into an office to interview 8 times just because they're interviewing with 8 people. Now it's easier because we're remote and we're doing this, via video, but that doesn't mean there shouldn't still be a sense of urgency, because we will lose candidates if we're taking too long. So as much as we can, we need to try to still have this kind of first round, second round concept of first round being evaluation of the technical skills, the functional skills, some culture fit there as well. And then the final round being the VP of the group or the more senior people on the team that the person might want to meet that can help sell. They can do some final evaluations, but can also put the final sell to the candidate to get them interested as well. So ideally, I would like to see it be a 2-day process, maybe not back to back, but I would like as much as possible that we can get the interviews scheduled mostly on the same day with possible second day follow-up. But we need the whole company's help in doing that. And that means that people who are on interview schedules need to make themselves available. And it means that we need to do a little more time in scheduling. But that won't scale if we're not able to work with the people on the interview team to make their schedules available. So 5 to 8 interviews, not a problem. 5 to 8 rounds, a problem to me. Clement asked, is Kirsten moving away from the EA role? Yes, she will be moving away from the EA role to focus on events. And so that's where we are finding a replacement for the EA side of the role. Any other questions or comments or feedback for Kevin or I or anyone else on the team? Okay, well, it was wonderful talking with all of you today. I look very forward to seeing you in South Africa. We are experimenting again. One of the things that we did start is to live stream the FGUs. I will look forward to getting everyone's feedback from that. We do have a late question coming in from Cynthia. Does the next summit location get announced at the end of the current summit? The answer to that is it depends. We are trying and working hard to pin down a location, and if we have and the contract is signed, we will communicate that at the end of the summit. But if it's not, we won't. We don't want to communicate something that might not actually happen. So more to come on that. We'll keep you a little bit on pins and needles, but we're hopeful that we'll be able to announce it at the end of the summit. And I don't know if Kirsten's on the call because she's already on her way to South Africa, and I think maybe has landed. But we will do our best. Okay, so the FGUs are live streaming, and it's been an interesting experience for me. It's a little different because I can't see as many faces of my fellow team members, which is a little odd to me, but hopefully it makes it easier for more team members to view this via YouTube later. But nonetheless, this is a new format for us. So providing your feedback to myself or Trevor is greatly appreciated. Oh, and Clement says he can't see the participants list. Yeah. So Clement, right now we have 50 attendees on and 3 panelists. So there's some numbers information for you, but we will always, like I said, be open to the feedback on how this is going, so we can continue to try to make this great and scalable for our team members at GitLab. Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. And we will see most of you in Cape Town.
Bye, guys.